Meanwhile, Flipkart's Sachin Bansal has said the intent behind demonetisation is good. He also added that more on-ground research was perhaps needed. He also said Flipkart was ready to help the government in any way. He spoke exclusively to Vikram Chandra.
If you had to do the cash ban, how would you have done it? And how would you have done it differently?
I think firstly, we should appreciate that this is a really hard challenge. This is much harder than running logistics at Flipkart. And I think, and I do want to also say that the idea behind it is very good. The thought behind it is very good, and the intent is very good. And I'm hoping that this is not just one-off things, and we will see more of these things in the future. I think reduction of black money in the economy is going to be very, very beneficial in the long term. I don't think this is going to be the only step. I'm hoping this is not the only step. There will be more steps that should follow, whether it is in the real estate space where the large portion of our black money exists, or in political funding and stuff like that. I feel that this is going to have a very large impact. A problem that I see now is that because if you see the signs of or the actions of the government post the demonetization announcement, there have been some calls which were kind of arbitrary in nature, or seemed like they were knee-jerk reactions to situations that came out of blue. And actually, most of those situations could have been anticipated or avoided in the first place, like printing enough cash, recalibration of machines, and stuff like that. I would say, if I would have, in hindsight, again, I would have probably done more research on the ground and roped in experts earlier on, even at the idea stage, way before the announcement was made. Have an expert panel which can guide the government and also work very, very closely through the execution phase as well. We have seen that the bureaucracy...
I guess their problem would have been that, if you talk to too many people, then what happens to secrecy? So therefore...
No, I don't say. I think very top secret projects in the world have been executed successfully with roping in of experts, and you can choose to trust a few people over there as well. And since it's a set of small people, everybody knows that if some leak happens, it will be very easy to triangulate who that person is, and you can then that becomes a deterrent for people to not leak anything, right? So, but having experts who can anticipate these things in advance is the main thing. I have seen that I think bureaucrats in India do a great job of administration and working through the maze of the government. But when it comes to expertise on the ground, on subject matter expertise, they kind of lack over there, and giving such a technically challenging problem to the bureaucrats was not the right thing.
Micro ATMs is a great idea.
Yeah.
Is that something which you think companies like Flipkart or Snapdeal or Amazon, for that matter, could possibly help with? Because you have the ability to take those, micro ATMs. You have people who are used to going to people's houses, delivering and accepting cash. Could somehow those micro ATMs be given to companies like yours to take to a lot of people and get the cash in faster?
No, I think so. I think especially after the Diwali season, there was a lean period. There's always a lean period after the Diwali season in the month of November, and we could have used this time where we have extra staff available, not just in Flipkart, but actually a lot of retailers, small retailers have this extra staff in their stores, and those staff members can be quickly trained, given a technology solution like an app or something which they can use to go and maybe deliver cash to the people in their houses, like with the micro ATM idea that you are talking about, right? But the challenge would have been possibly around that maybe the printing of cash itself. I'm hearing that is a problem also.
I'm sure the government would have figured out the printing of cash, but that's entirely in their hands. There's no secrecy issue there. So I'm sure they printed enough cash. The issue they're having is how do we get it to everybody? Because you're replacing 85% of the cash in the country, and that's a really huge challenge. Yeah. So even today, is it possible for them, in case they're watching this program, to contact someone like you or others and find ways that you can take the cash and get it delivered?
I think they can. I mean, absolutely. I would love to participate and help the government in solving this problem.
The other technological idea, of course, is that frankly, anybody who's using credit cards and debit cards or Paytm type, micro-payment wallets, free charge or any of the others, they have a solution. They're not really, worried too much.
Yeah. So I think, but if you step back a little bit and look at this thing at the macro level, this move, right? And you look at the other series of moves that have been happening in the past as well, the indication from the government is that we need to move on and use technology, embrace technology more and more. Yes, we may print some cash in the short term and then try and solve the problem in the short term, but that's not going to be the long-term solution. I think it's a wake-up call for all the banks who have been sitting with legacy systems and legacy processes. It's also a little bit of wake-up call for the people in this room and people like us who that we need to start pushing faster on the digital payment side of things.
Yeah.
And we have seen that. I mean, last few days have been tremendous for we have a payment solution in Flipkart that we have launched a few months ago based on UPI.
Yeah.
We've seen a huge spike in that usage of that.
So today, what percentage of people would be using digital payment mechanisms? Because frankly, I think after what's happened, the big story in Indian technology and Indian mobile, at least for the next year, is going to be people are going to be using the experience of whatever's happened and saying, how are we figuring out payments for the coming thing? Probably the biggest bet. So that's why, in case somebody's wondering why we're spending so much time talking about this, this is probably the biggest bet to make right now.
No, I think payments is going to be the largest bet from a technology point of view. And also, digital payments is going to become an enabler for a whole set of other businesses. I'm sure a lot of people here are building those businesses or part of those businesses, whether it's selling apps, or it is mobile advertisements, or it is selling digital goods, or it is about any kind of transactions that has to be conducted on the internet. What this move has done is that it has suddenly converted tens of millions of customers who were not even thinking about using a UPI or a wallet or something like that to suddenly start figuring out, oh, ye wallet kya cheez hai, right? What is this thing that, let me figure this out, let me try and...
Can the common man use e-payment wallets without having a bank account, without having, credit cards or debit cards? Is it something that can become, mainstream?
Bank accounts, debit cards, this is not a problem, or less of a problem, and it will become less and less of a problem over time. Yes, the solutions are not intuitive enough yet, and they are not good enough to run on, let's say, even a non-smartphone, like an old style phone as well, which I think it's hard to do because those phones are very limited in capacity from an app's point of view. I think, but faster transition to smartphones is going to help. I think one suggestion that I would have is that if you really want people to move to digital payments, UPI, wallets and stuff like that, government should subsidize low-cost smartphones. Let's say the $100 smartphone, government can think about, okay, how do I make it $50?
I don't know how much money you have with you in your wallet. This is my wallet, which when I left Delhi, flying to Bangalore, I suddenly realized there's not a single rupee in it. You can see I still have it. And by the way, I wasn't particularly stressed out. I left Delhi, flew to Bangalore, will fly back tonight. I don't have a single rupee note with me.
Yeah.
And most of the time, you can imagine, the only thing I'm going to feel, you can't give people tips, that's a problem. And if you want to go on the side of the road and want to buy something from a thela wala, you can't do that. But it is theoretically possible to live your life digitally.
Yes, it is possible. It is possible. You can buy everything today, from milk to eggs to whatever you want to furniture, taxi, and things like that. I mean, you can, but I think the services that are used by lower middle class, lower income people in India, they are not yet digitally connected. Whether, like you said, right, they eat at a thela wala, or they buy at a small kirana shop, or they use bus service or rickshaw service, right? They are not digitally connected yet.